templates for Retell lecture. In this session, we'll look at the templates that we can use for this question type. We'll look at a number of templates, starting from the most sophisticated to the simplest. Depending upon how confident you are in this question type, you can decide which template to use. So first, let's have a look at this particular question. So we'll hear the lecture and we'll see a response that someone has written without using a template. After that, in the next few slides, we will discuss how you can answer the same question with the help of templates. All right?
Okay, so today I want to talk about banking, and this ties in somewhat to my previous lecture, which was on real estate, because banks are major real estate lenders and investors in real estate securities, and we're going through a subprime crisis right now, which is a banking crisis as well. And so I will talk a little bit about what we discussed last time. But anyway, I wanted to start out with the most fundamental thing is what are banks? Okay, what is a bank? Historically, money lenders of one sort or another go back to who knows how far back, thousands of years. So you might say banks existed in ancient times. But the history of banking often goes back only a matter of hundreds of years.
All right, this is a good sample response. The lecturer talks about banking and how it is related to real estate. This is because banks lend a lot to real estate and invest in real estate sector. The current banking crisis is largely related to real estate. According to the lecturer, though money lenders have been around for thousands of years, actual banking sector is not so old. So this is a good response because all the key points have been captured. The theme has been captured and the relationship between banking and real estate, that has also been captured. So the person who gave this response didn't just capture the keywords. He or she was able to understand the relationship between different things mentioned in the lecture. And that is what distinguishes a good response from an average response or a response that is made solely on the basis of keywords. Okay, now the first template that we have for you is this one. In this lecture, the speaker talks about the theme. He or she draws our attention towards the first point. In addition, he or she emphasizes on second point. Finally, he or she highlights the third point. It can be concluded that, and then you make a smart conclusion. To use this template, you will have to identify what the theme is. See, I'm not saying the keywords. I'm not saying that you have to capture the words. I'm saying you have to understand the theme. So theme in this lecture is the relationship between banking and real estate. The keywords are real estate, banking, money, lending, investment, all of that. So if you can do that, then you'll arrive at a response like this. In this lecture, the speaker talks about, so as I said, theme, banking and how it is related to real estate. He draws our attention towards first point, that how banks lend a lot to real estate. In addition, he emphasizes on the huge investments that banks make in real estate. Finally, he highlights that the current banking crisis is related to real estate. It can be concluded that banking is intricately linked to real estate. So you see, being able to capture the three key points and identify the theme, if you can do that, then yes, this template is suitable. Now let's look at a simpler version of this template. The lecture is about theme. Key point 1 is an important factor. In addition, we must also consider this. Together, all of these have an impact of 3, and then in conclusion. So here also, you have to understand the theme, but overall, this is a bit simpler. As you can see, the conclusion. In conclusion, we're not depending upon, you don't have to make a conclusion on your own as long as you just put in the theme there. So the theme here, banking and real estate. The lecture is about banking and real estate. So let's say you've understood only just a little bit that it's about banking and real estate. Not that, how banking invests and all of those things, that relationship. So ideally that is the theme, but if in your mind, you've only been able to understand banking and real estate, so you go with that. Then bank loans to real estate is an important factor. In addition, we must also consider their investments in real estate. Together, all of these have an impact on banking crisis. In conclusion, again, you put in the theme there, banking and real estate. So this is a somewhat simpler version. The third structure that we have is again very similar to the previous one. So you can use any of these. This is pretty much the same. Again, you've captured banking and real estate. The difference is how you're putting forward the points and how you are making the final conclusion. So ideally, first reference, write it in a good structure but without following a template. If not, then try to follow the template number 1. If you want something simpler, or you don't want to bother about what conclusion to make, then follow either template number 2 or template number 3. And now we have a template which is even simpler. Let's say now all you have done is you've not been able to understand anything at all. But since you were listening, you made a note, you noted down a few words, keywords. Now this response will be solely constructed using those keywords. This I think almost everyone can do. When you are listening to a lecture 30, 40, 60, 80 seconds, you can definitely pick at least a few words and write them down and then put those words here. So you will come out with at least a reasonable response. Something like this. In this lecture, the speaker talks about banks and real estate. So you captured those keywords, so you just put them. He further discusses bank lending and investments. So you see, one keywords 2 here is bank lending, and keywords 3 here is investments. So nothing complicated, just the words. Finally, he reiterates, this is a standard sentence, the finally, and the conclusion also is pretty much standard. It again just uses those 2 or 3 keywords that you've captured. It can be concluded that the lecturer is very insightful about banks and real estate and lending and investments. Alright, so you see, just by using the keywords, 2-3 keywords or 3-4 keywords if you can pick, you can still construct a good response. So spend some time understanding the templates. Then when you are practicing, see how well you do. If you are able to understand the theme, if you are able to do it properly, then you don't even need to worry about templates. However, if you are at the other end, you have been struggling for a long time, then you can use template 4 or you can use one of the other 2 or 3 templates that we have.